So we're anchored here in the Barrow Lagoon. It's blowing like 30 to 35. Anchored off Point Barrow here. It's the most northerly tip of America at about 71 degrees 23 minutes north. And the first 2 days it was just howling windy. We were anchored further down the lagoon and we just couldn't even get into shore. It was so much wind. And then we met up with a friend of a friend who does whale biology research up here. And he took us into town on his skiff, which was super nice, and got to check out a little bit of that. And then yesterday we actually went all the way around to anchor off town because the wind had shifted around and that was really the only safe anchorage.
So we're switching around to the western side of Point Barrow here. Unfortunately, in the lagoon, there's nowhere that really gives good protection from southeast winds that's deep enough for us to anchor. The depths are really shallow. 5 feet and less. Oh, great whale. Yeah, and now the wind's come back the other direction, so this morning we came back around to the other side of the point, and it's calmed down and clearing up right now. It's looking to be a really nice afternoon, which is cool. Nice to see some sun. Haven't seen any polar bears yet. Hopefully we don't see any too close up, but it would be nice if one walks by eventually here at a safe distance.
We're having our friends here in Barrow to dinner on the boat, and I made a salad to go with our main chili course, but our olive oil had congealed because it's so cold, so I've put it next to the heater here to warm it up. Hope it is liquid by the time they get here. Seth's gone in to pick up our friends, came out to the point in their quads.
After a wonderful dinner, our friends left us with one of their ATVs so that we could get to and from the boat and town. The best anchorage out at Point Barrow is about 10 miles from the town, so not very doable on foot in one day. One of the best things we did was to accompany Barrow's last remaining sled dog team on their summer exercises. The team is owned by a man called Geoff Carroll, who actually took an earlier generation of dogs on an incredible expedition all the way to the North Pole.
Come on, Come on, buddy.
About to go run the dog team. Should be really cool.
Get up.
Comes Joff's dog team. So we came up here to the ice edge from Barrow.
It's wild being out here. It's 300 feet deep, but it sounds like surf breaking on a beach with the swell rolling into the sea ice here.
So this here is about our furthest north, up at the pack ice above Barrow. The pack ice is just over there beyond these floes. Get these wild superior mirages up here in the Arctic because it's so cold. We've only put 100 hours on our engine since coming up from Unalaska, which is pretty good. But it's time to do the oil change because we're not sure how many hours we'll put on it going back. Could be as much as 200 if we get calms and want to push through to avoid low pressure systems. So, time to do it. Moment of truth here. Start the engine, see if it worked.
On one of our last days in the area around Barrow, we sailed 50 miles east along Alaska's Arctic coast to a gravelly sandbar called Cooper Island, where a scientist named George DeVoke has been researching black guillemots and the effects of climate change for 40 years. It certainly seemed a bleak and lonely place to spend every summer, but his research is fascinating. Polar bears have preyed more and more on the guillemots as the sea ice and their hunting grounds have retreated, to the point where George bought military-grade plastic cases so that the birds could nest somewhere polar bear-proof. And the guillemots have had to adapt their own feeding habits to the retreating ice. They now bring sculpin instead of cod, which are found at the ice edge, to their young.
They stay in the Chukchi until late November, and the ice cover gets to be pretty complete then. And then they move into the Bering and slowly move south and winter for like February, March, and even into April at the southern edge, almost at the break, at the shelf break.
Yeah.
That must be his mate, because he's doing, yeah.